Hello, my name's Toby Thompson from Cranfield. I'm here with Edward Johnson, Project Manager at Detica Limited. Edward, we're looking at risk management, as you know,
Absolutely.
and we're intrigued by innovative ways of risk management. I was keen to hear what your take on risk management was, how it maybe differs from the standard orthodoxy.
We do work within a fixed price, it's a reasonably large scale project environment. So risk management is obviously a key part to making sure we deliver to our client on time, on budget, and profit for the company. So we, rather than the traditional format of making sure we understand every single requirement and therefore understand every single risk and price up the mitigation of every single risk from day one, we work with our client over the period of the project to actually break the risk up into smaller chunks. We assume from day one that what the requirements are for the project are going to change over the course of the project.
And that sounds, I guess that's innovative because I would know what my risks are and I want you to manage them and it's set. I presume that's the orthodox, it's the standard view of looking at things.
Yes, I think we know that there are going to be change, and we have a change control process in place that's going to, we think, manage that change. But quite often we don't actually plan for the fact that the change is going to happen. So we have sort of assumed that change will happen from day one. We know that our client is in a fast-changing business. Their threats to their business change all the time, and we have to be able to respond to that in a way that protects the company but also provides benefit to the client.
So how do you build change in? You say you value change. How do you actually bake that into the process?
We, like a normal project, I suppose, or a normal fixed price project, have a large series of requirements that will deliver the end product. And we plan those requirements into 6-week deliverables, and those requirements that are in the 6 weeks actually deliver benefit at the end. So they're not a random mix of requirements that we can fit in the 6 weeks. They actually will deliver some benefit, and we can, if we choose with the client, go live with some benefit every 6 weeks. And during those 6 weeks, we just work on those requirements that don't allow any change within those 6 weeks. But the client can change their view on what's going to happen in the future during the 6 weeks. So when we start the next series of construction or deliverables, that might not be the same number of requirements or the same requirements we thought we were going to do 6 weeks ago.
Right.
That makes sense. That's not
so why 6 weeks? Why not 10? Why not 3?
I suppose 6 weeks is what we've agreed with our client because the client doesn't want constant change, so they don't want us delivering more rapidly than 6 weeks. I think the normal agile way of working is 2 to 4 weeks, and so not that we're particularly trying to be unbelievably agile, but we're just trying to deliver benefit. So 6 weeks, our client can cope, and the client's users can cope with change to their live system every 6 weeks. It gives us enough time, we believe, to deliver a reasonable chunk of benefit. That means that because you are in delivering some benefit to the client, you're also going to have some outage time. There's going to be some disruption of some time, even if it's only a number of hours. So you want to make it worthwhile to the users that they'll get some benefit for the slight outage and change to their normal working environment. So every 6 weeks is what we've agreed. So there's no reason it can't be 10. It could be 6 months if that, depending on the type of project.
And does that require a different mindset from the client, expecting these things to be done in 6 weeks, and then that you're building change in? How do you prepare the client for that process?
Yes, you certainly have to work very closely with the client. I mean, they have to understand that you've not really set in concrete the end goal.
Which I guess is what they're expecting, aren't they?
That is certainly the traditional way, though, again, it's the traditional way probably with your blinkers on to ignoring change, because most projects over a long period of time, you know that the requirement at the end, in 10 years' time from when you start, is bound to have changed. So it's just getting the client to really understand that, and most of them do. I mean, sometimes the procurement teams are harder to influence than the project teams, who are normally closer to the end users, and the procurement team obviously want to know exactly what they're getting for their money. So we break that down, or break that argument down by saying, well, we have a fixed price, and within that we have a number of requirements, and we price up the requirements almost individually. And so if we swap requirements out because of change in business need with new requirements, they come in with a price, and so the procurement team understand, if you like, at a requirement level, what they're getting for their money. All we haven't done is define the full end goal for the price.
So the intent is really what the client says they want, or you're willing to go a little bit and build in changes as you go along?
So the intent is to deliver the strategic goal of what the client wants.
Strategic goal, not the...
Not necessarily the finite detail of what they want, because I think clients find that very difficult to articulate, and it's very easy to misunderstand. So if you understand the overall benefit that everyone in the project team is striving for, so the end users, the end client management team and ourselves, so I think we're all part of one project team, then it's much easier to manage the change within the framework of the overall strategic goal.
So you'd question the client as to why do you want that? Has it got to be that? Why do you? What's the purpose of having that particular need? Yes,
and we'd argue about the benefit rather than does it have to be a green button or a red button. What are you looking for? Are you looking for a display that's easy to be seen? So let's look at that benefit. Don't tell me that it has to be a green button. Let's explore what it should be and explore what the actual overall benefit is that you're trying to achieve for your end users.
It seems a very consultative approach. It seems like the client needs to spend a bit more time with you, and you need to spend more time with them, building trust. Why that side of things? Why would you emphasise more on that?
So, yes, it definitely is a consultative-led approach, but I think we actually operate in an environment where the client project team, who are on the project full time, is a very thin layer. So in fact we only have their project manager, a design authority, and their procurement manager, and we interact with a user group on a frequent basis, but it's an ad hoc basis, so it's probably an hour or two a week. So it's not like they've got to put a team of 10 or 20 on the project to provide us with requirements for a long period of time, and they actually come in and look at the system as we're developing it. So during the 6 weeks they'll come in 3 or 4 times to have a look at the system, and we can make changes within those small changes within those 6 weeks. So it does involve you getting very close to the client's business, which again is a benefit, I think, because that makes sure that you are delivering what they actually want, not necessarily what they've written down. So as part of the sort of value for money argument that no doubt we'll discuss with procurement, you can demonstrate that actually, because you understand their business, and not necessarily as well as they do, but I think understand their business on quite a close par, you can make sure that you are delivering benefit and can adapt to change.
So the client seems to be getting your advice and embeddedness and questioning around their end requirement. They get that benefit as well as the product itself.
Yeah, no, I believe so. As I said earlier, we definitely are a project team. So it's not
you and the client.
It's not Detica supplying to the client. It's Detica and the client delivering the benefit. So, and I think that works very well with our client, who is a large government organisation. So we do have a very close working relationship. It's not always been so. I think previously we were on perhaps the more traditional adversarial relationship, but by working together we've changed that into let's deliver benefit, not just deliver fixed price.
Are we talking about small projects here? We're talking about any size projects?
So, I mean, our project that we've really, I suppose, prototyped it on, this approach is sort of £30 million over sort of 4 or 5 years, so it's not small. I don't see why you can't expand it to bigger multi-100 million pound programmes, and we've used it successfully on very small pieces of work, £100,000 pieces of work. So I think it's reasonably, it is adaptable. I think the key thing is not necessarily the size of the project, but your closeness of your relationship with the client. So it is a difficult model to do on a very adversarial approach. If the client, if there's a battle between client and supplier, then I think it would be a very difficult approach to use initially. I think you could use it. You've got to break down some barriers
Right.
on their side that it is a partnership.
So if you had a dream client, what mindset would they have when they came to you to want this approach?
So I think they would understand that by giving us a fixed price for a project, they are not giving us all the risk. So they might be passing on some of the financial risk to us, but if we don't deliver, they still haven't got any benefit. So there is a risk to not being delivering.
So they're not allocating risk to you, it's a shared risk.
It's a shared risk, yeah. So yes, we do have the financial risk and we do have the reputational risk of not delivering. And yeah, the project we're on, while it is a large project, £30 million, they still contract it not in reasonably small portions, so several million at a time, which is a few of these 6-week blocks. So they could easily stop it. So it's not that we've signed up for 5 years worth of work. So yeah, we do have a reputational risk, and we have a risk of the contract being cancelled. But as long as they understand also that they've got a risk on their part that the project, if it is delivered, might not be what they actually really want. It's just what they've said they want. And if it's not delivered at all, as I said, they've spent lots of money and not got a lot of benefit. So there's a joint management of risk.
And joint motivation, I guess, or a higher motivation from both sides to make sure this thing works.
No, absolutely, yes. I think that's part of having a joint project team, is that you are all motivated to deliver the project and deliver value for money. So, I mean, we're working for a government client, so it's our taxes that are paying for it. So, I'd rather they use my taxes to deliver benefit.
This sounds unusual and innovative. And the forecast is good by the sound of it.
Absolutely very good. We've just signed another 5-year framework contract based on this approach, and it's been very successful for the last year or so. They've spent more money with us than they expected to spend, and we've delivered more benefit than we were contracted to deliver.
Edward Johnson from Dedic Limited, thank you very much for sharing that with us.
Thank you very much.